Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a wedding related video and I'm going to be talking all about my planning, my calendar, everything that I'm doing to prepare for basically planning my entire wedding. I just kind of wanted to talk about what I've been doing to kind of lay out what I have to do every month and stay on a planning schedule without actually like hiring a wedding planner. I am gonna have a day of coordinator, but I kind of just felt like I could do most of the planning leading up to my wedding myself. And of course with the help of like my mom, my bridesmaids, and I mean like even I have John, my fiance, involved. So I definitely see why people hire wedding planners, but to me I just felt like it was something I wanted to have more control of and something I wanted to do on my end until obviously the day of, when I feel like having at least a day of coordinator is really helpful. So today I just wanted to basically go over my full calendar I have for planning my wedding right now and kind of what I did to prepare and see what has to be done, what to account for, and what order to kind of do things in, because I know it can be like super overwhelming when you first have to like think about everything that goes into planning a wedding. I know I was looking all over Pinterest and different places to see like what is the exact kind of like timeline and like I just said what should happen and in what order. And I kind of just found a bunch of different resources that I put together to make my own custom kind of calendar and timeline that works for me. So I thought maybe going through what I have laid out for my wedding planning would be helpful to someone who is kind of how I was and trying to figure out what they need to plan and what kind of timeline. I did get engaged this past August, so August of 2020, and it is now April of 2021. So we just passed our like 1 year mark from like out from our wedding, because we're gonna get married in February of 2022. February 19th is the date that we picked. So we just, like I said, passed the year mark, so we're really getting into a lot of the like hands-on stuff that we have to do for planning. And up until this point it's kind of just been a little more like slow and not really having to do as many things so quickly. Even though we did get engaged in August, we wanted to just kind of have a longer engagement and especially just enjoy that time of being engaged in the beginning and not really rush into anything right away. I always knew I just wanted to have like more time than not enough to plan, so I was perfectly fine having a little bit of a longer engagement. And I think when it's all said and done, we're going to be engaged for like 1.5 years exactly, I think, which to me is like perfect. That's exactly the kind of timeline I had in my head. Of course, you can definitely plan a wedding in a less amount of time than that, and of course you can be engaged for longer than that. It doesn't really matter, and it's totally up to you and what you're looking for, especially what kind of wedding you're going to have. If it's going to be really big, if it's going to be smaller, or just how hard you want to plan and how fast you want to do it. I know for me, I need the time to like sit and make sure everything's perfect. Of course, not everything's ever going to be completely perfect, but I do want to have as much time as I can to try and make everything be as smooth as possible. So that's a little backstory about my planning so far, and I'm just going to go through, like I said, my calendar of things we've done so far, where we kind of are right now, and what we're planning to do leading up to our wedding that's happening in a little bit less than a year. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up my calendar. I did make like a note in like my Google Notes, or what is it, Google Docs, that is just like one document outlining in every month what I'm doing. And then I also went into my main calendar and I put on the 19th of every month, I put like a bunch of entries of basically what I want to do within that month. That's just something that worked for me, and I like being able to see it every day whenever I open my calendar, rather than on the Google Doc. I'm not always opening that up necessarily. But I do like having it in one list to easily reference if I want to just see like a big picture of everything. And I'll probably insert that document somewhere so you guys can see. I only started filling out what needed to be done from a year out, so I didn't put anything that we did before February of this year. So basically, kind of backtracking to when after we first got engaged in August, one of the first things you want to do is look at venues, because that's something that's obviously can be taken away really quickly. If your date gets booked, then that's it. So you want to really jump on that and make sure that you're prioritizing if you have a specific place that you want to get, like you want to look at, or even know exactly where you think you want to get married. You should definitely jump on that right away and make sure that your date is available, and try and tour places. So I think we did most of our touring in like October-ish, September, end of September, beginning of October. So we waited like maybe 2 months, which to me I was like kind of feeling nervous, like that was going to start getting too long if we kept waiting longer than that. But it all worked out. I love our venue. We actually have 2, like our reception and our ceremony are in different places. That was really fun, and definitely take all of that in because it's so nice just being able to see all the different venues. I absolutely loved touring places and seeing all the different options we had. I'm also the most like indecisive person ever, so to me everything feels like kind of overwhelming to me because I know I'm gonna like take forever to decide on something. But when it came to looking at venues, while we did have a lot of debating, go back and forth, and kind of just weighing pros and cons, I think we were really confident in our decision, and we knew right away for the ones that we wanted to go with. It really was like a kind of like realization moment when you're like, okay, this is the one. I know it sounds so cliche, but I hope you have a similar experience, because it definitely made that part of the planning process a lot easier, because we did really fall in love with the venues that we chose. So I do recommend that being one of the first things that you do. I'm trying to think of anything else that we did since then. I think the next step was just choosing who was going to be in our bridal party. We actually didn't ask them until about a year out, so in February, but we obviously had it in mind as soon as we got engaged, trying to figure out who we wanted to include in for groomsmen and bridesmaids. So other than that, I don't think there's anything else that we did before like the year mark. So that being said, I'm just gonna jump right into what we started planning for the year. First, like, order of business I had after obviously picking your venue is to ask your bridal party, like I said. So I have that on my 12 months out section, and I also had to book the photographer and videographer. This is also something you want to do pretty early on, because again, dates fill up, and if you have someone specific in mind or wanting to get like a certain kind of style, you're going to want to research that ahead of time and make sure that you're reaching out to those photographers slash videographers to make sure you're securing your date before anyone else takes it. This was something that was really important to me, our photographer and videographers. It's like photo and video is so important and such a big part of everything I do. I wanted to make sure they were absolutely perfect for what we were wanting. So I definitely started looking into them probably like a month or two out. So probably in like December, like middle of December, I started looking at photographers, and I knew it was going to take me that long, at least for this portion, to figure out exactly what we wanted, because this was one of the most important things to me. And again, we found a photographer and videographer that we absolutely love, and I'm so excited to work with them. And I know that they're going to be able to give us a beautiful photo and video that we can cherish forever. So that was really important, and definitely something that you want to put at the forefront of your planning, just because like timeline wise, that's when photographers will usually start booking. Some do even like 2 years in advance. So as soon as you get engaged, that's probably the first thing you want to do after looking at venues. For the 11-month out mark, I actually didn't have anything, and that was this past March. So I was able to kind of take a break, and especially because picking the photographer was such like a big task, that I was glad to just have a month to kind of like chill before getting into pretty much everything else. And of course, you don't have to stick to this exact timeline. It's always great to get ahead. A lot of these dates that I like put, it's really like a month early, so I'm like kind of ahead by a month for everything. But again, it's definitely flexible, and some people get engaged and married in like 8 months or less. So it's definitely flexible, and you can do anything in any time frame, but this is just what I've laid out for me. Like I said, looking at other timelines and different like guides to kind of like what you should be planning. So 10 months out, it just happened to fall this way that we are taking our engagement pictures with our photographer this month in April. It's actually on the 24th, so a few weeks from now at the end of the month, we're going to be taking our engagement pictures. You definitely want to have time to have those pictures in case you want to include them on a save the date or anything you want to send out, and obviously you just want to have them to announce your engagement. I'm not even sure if we're gonna have a picture on our save the date, but you obviously want, like I said, to do them just in case. And of course, it's just something exciting and something fun to do, especially to celebrate your engagement. And other than that, for the 10-month mark, I actually have to pretty much book like a lot of your other vendors. I put to book our DJ, florist. We want to have a live orchestra at the ceremony, so we're gonna have to book that. And also to build your wedding website or registry. I also left out, you're going to want to book your caterer if it's not included in your venue. Where our reception is like the caterer is like a part of the reception because it's a hotel and restaurant. So the catering is actually included in our venue, but if you're doing an outside catering company, you're going to want to book that way in advance as well. So even though booking all the other vendors is supposed to be happening this month, I actually haven't really started looking into any of those things. So again, I'm not going to be as picky as I was with like photographer, videographer, because that was one of the most important things. So I feel like I can do this within the month and just figure out who we're going to use for, like I said, our entertainment, and florist is pretty much the main thing that we have to worry about right now. And the last thing we have is to finalize our guest list. And we pretty much have our guest list put together. That was something that we first kind of talked about. And that's actually something you need to do before looking at venues anyways, because you're going to want to know how many people you're going to be inviting, because that's going to affect like certain venues like capacities and if they can accommodate how many people you're bringing. So we were able to go through at the beginning when we first got engaged and write down all of our family and everyone we're obviously inviting. My family is huge, so they're pretty much our entire guest list. So we are inviting around 200 people, but we do want to go through sometime this month and make sure that we're not missing anyone and just kind of have that in writing and finalized. We did ours on like an Excel sheet just so we can have, well, I separated like John's side, my side, and then we have like section for kids. Just because sometimes that makes a difference whenever you're accounting for like catering. And moving on to the 9 months out checkpoint is to choose your wedding dress. So I'm actually shopping for my dress in this Saturday. So today's Monday, so 4 more days that I have until I go and shop for my dress. So that's so crazy. I'm hoping I can get lucky and find something on my first visit, but you never know, and especially like I said, I'm pretty indecisive, so we'll see how it goes. But I am starting that process now to be ready by the next month's mark to have that like already picked out. You do want to have your dress sometime in advance because you are going to have like different fittings, and you want to make sure that everything's good to go like way well in advance. Kind of self-explanatory, and also a very important part because you need a dress. 8 months out, that would be June for us. I have to book our hair and makeup. So that's like one of the vendors that you kind of wait a little bit longer on. I wouldn't wait too long because again, people's dates fill up, but I thought that was something that could maybe be pushed back a month or two. And I also put to plan our wedding decor. This is really just like something you should be doing the entire time that you're wedding planning. We've definitely been doing that. We have basically an idea of what we want, the kind of look and things we're going to incorporate. But I would say like by the 9-month mark or 8-month mark that you want to have a lot of those things in hand and really finalizing a plan of what you're going to have on every table, on every part of your venue. Like you want to make sure you're accounting for every single decor piece you want to incorporate. I think that timeline for planning decor is good because that gives you extra time if you need to like change anything, or just showing that you have everything and you can visualize it, and if you want to like switch anything out, you have that time to do so. And also at the 8-month mark, I have to save the dates. I think this is really flexible. I think between like any like 7 to 8 month range is good. That might even be a little early. I kind of go back and forth between when would be a good time for save the dates, but I think 7 months is definitely like a good 7 to 8 months is a good time frame. I think if you're doing a destination wedding, you want to send them like earlier in advance just because that's like a big trip that people need to plan for. But since like my whole family is local and John's are like not too far, like it's not going to be hard for them to come down, that's like not something we really need to give more advance for, even though we do have our date picked out and it's like we've posted it so our family can see it on Facebook or whatever they want to do. But setting out your actual save the dates I would think would be good to do between like 7 to 8 months. I'm hoping I'll be able to design our save the dates and invitations myself, just because I do design every day for my job and just like my own like personal branding stuff. I think it would be super fun to be able to have like my own kind of take on it. And I think like all of our menus, all of the paper like stuff that we're gonna have, I'm gonna do a lot of the graphic design for that. It's obviously a good idea to find different things that you can kind of do yourself, and that'll obviously save you money, and just like I said, have you be a part of it a little bit more. So that's something that I'm planning on doing. And then moving on to the 7-month mark, we will want to have our groom and groomsmen and bridesmaids like outfits picked out. So having the bridal party attire finalized by I think like 7 months out is a good time frame. And to me that's like in hand, like everyone has it, they're comfortable with it, and it's like they have a plan to either get it fitted or it's already fitted. So definitely soon I'm gonna have to start finalizing what I want my bridesmaids to wear. And I'm gonna be able to like send them whatever kind of dress we're gonna go with, and then they can have time to either like order it or go buy it and try it on, get it fitted, and so on. You definitely want to give people enough advance for that so they can do those alterations or be able to find something that fits them well. And yeah, that's definitely our plan, is to have that set and done by like a 7-month out time frame. And also at the 7-month mark, I said to have our cake tastings. I'm not sure if I put when to exactly choose the cake. I'm assuming that means like cake tastings and then like pick one. So that'll be really fun. I'm really excited for that because I don't know, it's just super fun. You get to like taste your wedding cake. Makes me think of like TLC shows when they would like go and like plan all their weddings, like David ATTIRE stuff. Like that's what it makes me think of. So I'm super excited for like all those little fun things we get to do with our venue. That's actually not a part of our venue. We'll have to get our cake from somewhere else, like an outside bakery, but we will have our like dinner tasting at our venue. And that actually goes into my 6-month point, which is for us, we'll be scheduling our tasting with our venue 6 months out. That definitely depends on your caterer or kind of the route you go for food. But that's like what our venue told us that we're going to do that 6 months out from our wedding. So that's a good time to narrow down what exactly is going to be on your menu. We are doing like a plated dinner, so it's like we get to choose certain like appetizer combinations with like the entree and everything. So we get to figure out from like their options what we want to include, and then we get to go taste them. So that's also gonna be super fun. And this is more like a specific note to us, but we have to update our venue about the rest of our vendors. So I think they have to like have a list of everyone else we've booked. But again, that depends on your exact venue. I also have it 6 months out to choose our wedding bands, which is super sweet. And I guess that could happen like 5 to 6. I mean, you could really do that anytime. But I think getting closer to the day will like make it a little more exciting. And it's like, I feel like if you get it too close to getting engaged, it's like, okay, you already like got one ring, like enjoy that one first, and then like you can get excited again for your wedding band. So I mean, I already have kind of like ideas for what I want for my wedding band, but we obviously have to go pick them out and like try things on and see what John likes. So I'll probably plan on doing that around the 6-month mark. And this is kind of random, but I put to create our song list, or just kind of like what we want the DJ to play. Again, that'll probably depend on what your DJ wants to have like timeline wise, or if he wants them sooner, or just you have to touch base with your vendors. But typically I think around that mark you want to like set what kind of songs you want to play, or if you want a specific playlist to actually put that together. 5 months out, you want to book your honeymoon. At least for my timeline planning, I want to definitely be having that like finalized at least 5 months out. We're hoping everything is back to normal by then, so we can have a nice honeymoon. We definitely want to go somewhere tropical, so we'll probably like fly out somewhere. I've been looking at kind of like all-inclusive places, somewhere, like I said, tropical, some kind of island somewhere. Like, that's all I want. So it'll be really fun, and we're both on the same page. We both want to go somewhere like that. So we've already kind of looked at places, even though it's like way far that we want to like have it finalized. It's definitely good to look now just to kind of get ideas of maybe places you want to go or what they might cost, just so you can plan ahead of time. This is also probably really premature, but I have to book the rehearsal dinner. There's a specific restaurant that we want to have a rehearsal dinner at. Think about booking them obviously in advance, especially if you're going to have a big party coming in for the rehearsal dinner. And you also want to be finalizing any other attire for your flower girls or ring bearers. I know my mom is going to like get her mother the bride dress, and I mean, that's more like up to them, but I know she's been asking me, just like she's already been looking. So definitely just making sure everyone has their like attire in line, and more specifically, like I said, any flower girls or ring bearers you might have in your wedding, you want to make sure that they have their little outfits ready. And for us, we have for the 5-month out mark to reserve our car. So whenever we leave our ceremony, we're going to drive to the reception and probably like some kind of sports car, I guess. I don't know. John is super into cars, and I know a lot of people get like a vintagey looking kind of car, like that's really cute, but I think sports car is definitely kind of more our vibe. We might do something kind of in between, but I'm gonna leave that up to him because that's definitely his thing, and we just want to get something like not our regular cars just to like have for the day, and we just thought it'd be fun. I actually don't know if you can do it that far out, but again, I'm just planning ahead just in case. 4 months out, we have to hire our day of coordinator. If, like I said, you don't have a full-time wedding planner and you just want someone for the day of, you definitely want to have that set by that time. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know why I wouldn't have that when we tell our venue about the vendors, because I think I'm probably gonna have to have her earlier than that. But if you don't have any kind of deadline with your venue, try and do that by like the 4-month mark, so you have someone who's gonna be there to help on the day of, know exactly where things are gonna go. They're gonna be able to set things up and decorate, and you won't have to worry about anything. So I highly recommend getting a day of coordinator, even if you don't, like I said, have a wedding planner, because I don't. You also want to order any gifts and favors that you're gonna give to your parents, for your spouse, for future spouse. Any of your bridal party gifts, you definitely want to have those ready and in hand, so you can have that all planned out. And also, I think around the 4-month mark is when we're going to send our invitations. So you obviously did save the dates, and then you're going to want to have your formal invitations to follow. And I think like 3 to 4 months is usually typical for that. 3 months out, I feel like this video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to try and blow through the rest of these. But 3 months out, you want to finalize any accessories you're going to wear, including like your shoes, your jewelry, just anything you're going to have like in addition to your dress. You want to make sure everything is picked out and ready. I think you typically have a hair and makeup trial around the 3-month mark. It might be sooner than that, I guess, depending on your makeup artist. But you want to definitely make sure that you have your trials done if you choose to do one. I'm going to try and do that around the 3-month mark. And then you're going to want to schedule your final nail and hair appointments like for like closer to your wedding. So like 3 months out, I'll schedule my nails for like that week of my wedding, or like my hair appointment when I want to get it colored or whatever. 2 months out, this is very specific to our venue, but we have to confirm all of our food selections and do like our floor plan for where people are going to sit. And again, that's something we have to send to our venue, but that's definitely a good like rule to follow anyways. You can kind of follow that timeline for yourself. We want to finalize the honeymoon plans, so not only just like booking your honeymoon, like I said, I think like 5 months out, you want to make sure 2 months out you have like plans for what you want to do, unless you just want to like chill and not have anything to do. But we'll probably try and incorporate some kind of itinerary so we're making the most out of our trip. You want to finalize your wedding decor. So before you were just kind of getting things together, but this was like having it like in its like box, like ready to be taken. And like I think 2 months out is a good time, so you're not like scrambling at the end like the week or two before trying to make sure you have everything together. If you have everything ready, I would try and put it together that much ahead of time. You also want to order and finalize your wedding programs. I kind of forgot this was a thing, so I guess that's something I can also design if I want to. Just like something that obviously shows your guests like the timeline of the day. That's something you'd want to do at least like 2 months out. You want to schedule time off of work for obviously your wedding, the week of your wedding, a couple days before, whatever you want to do, and then for your honeymoon. I'm probably just gonna try to take a couple days maybe before. I don't think I'll need to take the whole week off. Since we are getting married on a Saturday, I can maybe take like Thursday, Friday, and then the week after for our honeymoon. So just a matter of figuring out what you want to do for your specific plan. You also want to send a shot list to your photographer or work with your photographer and have them help put together a timeline for you and just like shot lists of what exactly you want to capture, just so everyone's on the same page the day of, and it makes everything go a lot smoother. 1 month out, again, really specific to our vendors, we have to confirm like food selections from our guests. Like when they RSVP, usually they'll either like put like what they want, like you provide a menu and they can like choose their options. That's usually how seated dinners will go. And you want to follow up with any non-RSVPs, so people that never got back to you, you want to make sure that you're reaching out. I just wrote down a few different fees we have to make sure we're paying. So typically a lot of like last payments are going to be happening that month before. You want to review your song list again just to make sure everything's still what you want and kind of like set in place for the DJ. And again, specific, we have to send our final vendor list and update our floor plan for our venue. So in case anyone like isn't coming anymore or more people added on, we can move things around if we have to and send them an updated like list of our guests. And I have 1 month out to write your vows. So I mean, I might end up doing this closer to the wedding because I feel like I'll probably be more like in the mindset and I'll want to do it then. But just to make sure you have that in mind if you are writing your vows, to make sure that they're ready. And I think just being as close to the day as possible is good because you're going to be obviously in that mindset. 2 weeks out, I said to finalize the floor plan and our timeline. That's for our vendor for our venue. And then I put on here to pack the decor, but I think that's more like little last minute things. Like I said, if you have things ready earlier, I would make sure that they're all together. And then anything you might need for the day, so like your own like personal stuff, like make sure you're packing your little bags and having all of that ready. 2 weeks out, we are doing one last updated final guest count and seating chart for our vendor. Oh my god, I keep saying that. For our venue. And then 1 week out, we have last payments, packing for our honeymoon / wedding day. So again, like getting together anything else like last minute that you might have forgotten, just doing one last double check and making sure you're all packed again for the honeymoon if you are like taking your trip right after your wedding. And last thing I have is to set aside any tips or checks for vendors. So you want to probably do that in advance so you don't forget. Like when you want to give, obviously you're tipping like any of your vendors you have, you want to make sure that that's set aside and in a safe place that you can give to them on the day of or whenever. And I think that's actually the end of my list. I know that got super long and I kind of like rushed the end of it, but I feel like this video is getting really long. So I just want to go through the rest of the things that I have on my calendar and a planning document. I hope this video was helpful and kind of gave you guys some ideas of what kind of timeline you should follow. Again, it's like really up to a lot of either like preferences you have, decisions you're making. It's definitely gonna depend on a lot of different things. So this is just a timeline I found that will work for me, and it's covering everything that I think is important to take into account when you are planning your wedding. I've loved wedding planning so far. Again, we just now kind of got started like doing a lot of things that have to be done. We kind of have been like taking it slow, but every second has been so much fun, and really just take like the time to enjoy it. It can get overwhelming and stressful, but just know why you're doing it and it's gonna pay off and it's gonna be the best day ever. Next video is very exciting. Like I said, I'm trying on my dresses, so there might be a video coming about that. So stay tuned if you want to see some of the dresses I try on. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and thanks for watching.